WZDX presents an extra look at the hottest action from the world of sports. This is WZDX Sports Extra with Mo Carter, Charity Chambers, and Kayla Carlisle.
Hey there, we're back at it once again for the best half hour of your day on WZDX Sports Extra. Your starting lineup tonight features myself, Mo Carter, Charity Chambers, and Kayla Carlisle, who will check in with us momentarily.
Yeah, Mo, this time of the year, sports are usually few and far between, but somehow, somewhere, we found a way to bring you an action-packed, fun-filled show of sports happenings all across the Tennessee Valley. Caught up with Auburn head football coach Gus Malzahn as he made his way to Huntsville. Hear how he feels the team will do this upcoming season. Also on the gridiron, two former Atlanta Falcons made their way to Madison to put on a free football camp.
And for this Sunday sit-down, we'll be joined by Athens native and EuroLeague All-Star Richard Hendrix. And we'll also give you our take on who will be this year's MVP.
And we're kicking things off with Gus Malzahn making a stop at the Tennessee Valley for a stop on the Ambush Tour. So, of course, this was our chance to talk to him about how he sees things playing out this season. And let me tell you, the offense was one of the main talking points. One of the big questions regarding Auburn football this year is how good of a comeback Jarrett Stidham will have after his shoulder injury. Head coach Gus Malzahn says he's confident that the junior quarterback is back and better than ever.
We got our starting quarterback coming back, and of course in this league to have a chance to win a championship, you got to have a big-time quarterback. So, you know, you definitely feel good about that aspect.
Expectations were high last season for the sophomore quarterback, and he answered the call with over 3,000 passing yards and 18 touchdowns while leading the Tigers to an SEC West title. The script now has been flipped this season as Stidham is the established backfield star, while the Tigers must replace SEC Offensive Player of the Year and second-round draft pick Kerryon Johnson.
Cam Martin obviously is the guy that will be the guy that, as of right now, would start out. He's got experience, he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger, faster.
The junior running back Cam Martin is the leading returning rusher after tallying 453 yards last year on 74 carries. Malzahn says having returning starters like Stidham and Martin will help them in the long run this season.
I think we'll know a whole lot more about our identity early than we did last year. We went through a couple growing pains, but Jared is definitely a strength, and we will lean him, there's no doubt. And, I think he's up to the task.
And after a disappointing end to a promising season, I'm talking about the Peach Bowl loss to UCF, Malzahn is confident that his team is ready to make another run, and leading the way will be Stidham. Mel?
All right, Boys and Girls Clubs across America have done amazing things for America's youth, especially the clubs right here in North Alabama. And the premier event, which is always a joy for us to cover each and every year, takes place in about 6 weeks, and that's the Leaders and Legends Dinner. The annual event will once again be held at the BBC on July the 26th. In the past, the event has had some fantastic speakers like Evander Holyfield, Emmitt Smith, and Bo Jackson. This year's guest will be definitely someone who will draw an audience, and that's NBA Hall of Famer Charles Barkley. The highly automotive group has teamed up with the Boys and Girls Club of North Alabama once again to make this happen.
There's a lot of communities give back in some kind of capacity, be it through United Way or some other organization like that. So this event allows the community to see where your dollars go and how your dollars impact our future generation.
Charles Barkley will definitely fill the house up, and if you haven't got a table yet, I would recommend getting one real soon because they will not be around much longer.
Now the Leaders and Legends Banquet will be held on July the 26th. The dinner begins at 6 p.m. Remember, the special guest is Charles Barkley. Ticket information can be located on RocketCityNow.com. Look, we've got our tickets already. You might want to get yours before these things are sold out.
Yeah, and moving over to the ice rink now, the Havoc lost key assistant Jesse Kalecki to Fayetteville last week, but Coach Glenn DiTullio and the front office wasted no time in finding his replacement. This week, the Havoc announced that longtime fan favorite Stuart Safon will hang up his skates as a player and begin his reign as an assistant coach. He's the team's all-time leader in games played and has made SPHL All-Pro 5 times since 2011. One of Stewart's first tasks will be to help assemble a team to defend the SPHL championship. And Havoc fans, mark your calendar for the 2018 Havoc season opener, which is Friday, November 9th. The Havoc will hang a championship banner and the team will receive their rings. You are gonna want to be there. And today was the last day of the U.S. Open, but let's forget about the leaderboard for a second. We'll come back to that. Let's talk about Phil Mickelson, who went completely crazy at the 13th hole yesterday. Take a look. Mickelson saw an 18-foot bogey putt trickle past the hole and on its way to falling off the green, but instead, look at him. He's running over to the ball while it's still moving, and he hit it. You can't do that, guys. But on top of that, he missed that hit too. Mickelson then missed the following putt before finally sinking one for what would have been an 8. However, because he hit a moving ball, he was assessed a 2-stroke penalty and walked away with a 10 on the par 4.
Look, they had some very storied bad numbers at this U.S. Open this upcoming year, but hey, it explains why he messed this up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's a 2-shot penalty, and at that time I just didn't feel like going back and forth and hitting the same shot over. I took the 2-shot penalty, moved on. It's my understanding of the rules. I've had multiple times where I've wanted to do that. I just finally did.
Mo, that's crazy.
It is very crazy. Let's move on to Sunday for the finals, where the weather was really, really nice. On the 18th hole, Ricky Fowler with a great approach. It will set up a birdie. He'd shoot a 7-under today and finish overall with 11 over. Yeah, these scores were like historically bad. On the second hole now for Tommy Fleetwood, watch him hit the long birdie putt. That puts him at 8 over on the day, and this guy was in the top 5. 8th hole now, Dustin Johnson will sink the birdie putt to put him at 2 over. But the day eventually went over to Brooks Koepka. Watch as he gets the great approach to set up the birdie to move him back to 1 under. This guy was on top of the leaderboards when this happened. Let's go to the 18th hole now. He actually will need to hit this putt right here on the 18th, and you go ahead and tap it in for the bogey putt to win the U.S. Open for the second year in the row. Back-to-back wins. We were able to catch up with him after winning the tournament.
It's incredible. I looked at all these names a million times, it felt like, last year. Just looking at everybody, and to have my name on there twice is pretty incredible, and to go back-to-back is even more extraordinary.
And we're going to switch over now to the gridiron. 2 former Atlanta Falcons made their way right here to the Tennessee Valley to help local kids brush up on their talents. Kayla Carlisle joins us now at the X Zone with more. Kayla, what do you have for us?
Well, over 100 kids came out to Madison Academy yesterday to fine-tune their skills on the field, and hey, why not learn from a few former pros while they're at it? It was a day full of energy and a day full of fun. Former Atlanta Falcons Buddy Curry and Bobby Butler hosted their inaugural Kids and Pros football camp, where the kids learned everything from safe tackling techniques and position fundamentals all the way to life skills that will help develop them into successful athletes.
I had a dream when I was 9 years old to be a pro NFL player, and I achieved that. And so when my playing days was over with, I came up with the idea of, instead of coaching, start to train kids and put on camps and clinics.
We started 17 years ago, Kids and Pros, in one camp and clinic, and here we are at 285 camps and clinics later, all over the country.
And all thanks to some local sponsors, this camp was free and open to all ages and all genders. Out of hundreds of young boys, there was one player in particular who really stood out.
So when you were out here today, were you intimidated by the boys at all?
No, not really. I was surprised that there was only me and then like a younger girl. But other than that, I had fun.
Were the boys giving her a hard time? Did they say
No. Well, when you're a girl and you come out here, you're probably pretty good. And they're a little embarrassed sometimes, especially if you can outplay them.
Harley Samsel started her football career playing for the Huntsville Sting, a co-ed tackle football team.
What made me want to start is I've always wanted to play football because my whole family grew up playing football except for my mom, and then my brother did it. And I finally got the chance to play football.
Was it fun?
Yes.
I love that. And I have to say, lots of memories had to have been made yesterday. Those pros were out there telling their stories on how they made it to the NFL. And then there were girls like Harley who gave the boys a run for their money, and that's always fun to watch. So all in all, I'd say it's a camp that you don't want to miss next summer. Coming up, we've got a very special guest who knows a thing or two about basketball. Make sure you stay with us.
And now back to the action on WZDX Sports Extra.
Welcome back, everyone. It's now time for the Sunday Sit Down, and joining us is a guy that a lot of people around the Tennessee Valley should know. It is Richard Hendrix, the former Athens High standout who later went to Alabama, then went to the NBA, and now he's playing overseas. Richard, it's great to have you back here in the Tennessee Valley, man. How are things going for you this summer?
It's great, man. It's glad to be back home and get a chance to relax, see family and friends, and be back here in the Tennessee Valley.
Now, besides hanging out and enjoying all those things, How were things for you? Let's say maybe 6-7 months ago when you're playing overseas. Like, update everyone for anyone that does not know what's going on with you in that standpoint.
This is my 10th year pro that I've just finished, and I just finished this past season playing in Istanbul, Turkey, playing for Galatasaray Sports Club. It was a great season. Great atmosphere to play in front of, and it was a great experience.
Through all these years, how much can you say you've grown from being a guy that first went over to the overseas nearly a decade ago to now being a veteran?
I think it's not only made me a better athlete, but mainly a better person.
Okay, now you're back in the States for the summer during the off season for the team that you're playing with. But of course, you are never not busy. I know you have the camp coming up and stuff. Talk about how that has come to fruition the last couple of years, and how has it grown for you as far as doing what you do with that?
I've been able to have a partnership with the Harvest Youth Club in Harvest and have a camp there every summer where the kids come and they participate and work hard on their basketball skills. But not only do we want to work on basketball skills, we teach life skills as well.
Now, another one of your favorite teams is the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think the last time I talked to you, I asked you, what do you think Avery Johnson was going to do? And you said they're going to be some winners. And of course, this past year definitely did show it. They made great strides through the regular season, got to the NCAA tournament. So what are you thinking about how things look for the Crimson Tide this past year under Coach Johnson?
I would like to see the players to continue to improve in the upcoming year, and hopefully they can make Alabama basketball a mainstay in the NCAA tournament.
We'll talk about two players. First of all, let's talk about Colin Sexton. You know, he was a point guard. He was the firecracker for them this past year, and decided to leave after his only 1 year in Tuscaloosa to go to the NBA. Draft is coming up, projected to be a top 10 prospect. Do you think he can translate his game from that 1 year in Bama to the NBA?
Definitely. He's a dynamic player. I think he got better as the season went on. He showed that he had a lot of ability, especially in the open court, with his ability just to turn on the jets and put pressure on the defense. He was able to get to the basket at will. And I think his skill set is something that will translate into the NBA game.
Now, another guy that was a good freshman who's actually staying in Tuscaloosa is someone who actually has similarities to you and John Petty. I mean, he was a Mr. Basketball. You were a Mr. Basketball. He was a guy that went to Alabama, made great strides in the first couple of years. Kind of looks like he's doing that aspect. What do you see from your perspective with him?
If he can show that he can do a lot more other things on the court, defensively, taking the ball to the basket, becoming a little bit more efficient shooter, I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he'll be able to join Sexton in the next level in the NBA as well.
Finally, we'll stop right here with the next level stuff. You were drafted by the Golden State Warriors so many years ago. Of course, they just won their third championship in 4 years. Being a guy who got drafted by the team, I mean, do you still root for them, or do you still feel good seeing them with championships? Or how does that go through the world of Richard Hendrix in a situation like that?
Mainly, just as a basketball fan, I enjoy watching them play. The way they play, the shooting ability that those players have is tremendous. It's fun to watch, and not only to see that, the unselfish play that they have on the court, and seeing them playing the right way at many times on the court makes it something that you appreciate.
All right, we've got Richard Hendrix here for the Sunday Sit Down, but he is not going anywhere. When we return, Richard will be joined by Kayla Carlisle and Charity Chambers, and they will debate over who should be the NBA MVP for this past season. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You don't want to miss that.
And now back to the action on WZDX Sports Extra.
Welcome back to WZDX Sports Extra. Of course, the NBA season wrapped up a few weeks ago when the Golden State Warriors swept the Cleveland Cavaliers for the second championship in 3 years. But the awards will not be given out for another week or so. And we have 3 candidates who are up for the NBA MVP. I'm not going to sit here and explain who I think should win it. So I got some help. I have Kayla Carlisle, Charity Chambers, and Richard Hendrix, who are in the building to talk about the 3 finalists for this year's NBA MVP award. Kayla, we will start with you. You have James Harden.
Well, I'm just going to start this off. James Harden is the obvious favorite in my opinion. You know, he led the Rockets to a winning season, one of the most winningest seasons. I hate saying most winningest. I don't think that really makes sense, but that's what they say in the NBA. Though, and that's a big deal. He led the team. You know, he wasn't just a part of it. He was a key player in my opinion. And you know, he's always been a bridesmaid, never a bride. He has been in the top 10 running for this award the past 5 seasons. All right, but he's even come runner-up, I think, twice. One to Curry a few years ago, and then one to Westbrook last year. So he's been consistent for that long, where he can be in the running. You know, he has a great game, physical, mental, everything. He has it all, And I'm going to throw a few stats at you real quick because I thought these were really interesting.
Okay.
He's on pace to be one of the few players to average 30 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds per game in a single season. Okay? Now that matched up with him being on pace to become the 7th in history, NBA history, to average 30 points per game on a shooting percentage of 60% or greater. The only player in NBA history who's done that is Michael Jordan. And how can you deny Michael Jordan? Tell me that.
Well, of course, in the midst of the Michael Jordan talks, somehow LeBron James always gets into these talks. And speaking of LeBron James, Charity Chambers, tell us why you think LeBron James should be this year's NBA MVP.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of stats like you did, Kayla.
Hey, I have to come prepared because I wanted to let people know.
See, I like
who
that.
deserves it. He has been there long enough to get the award.
I like that, but you can't deny LeBron James. Like, to be honest with you, I feel like all I really have to say is his name. Now, Richard, I don't know if you know, but for the past couple weeks, actually really kind of in the NBA Finals, I was really ragging on LeBron just because I didn't really kind of like the way he was playing, kind of like he gave up. But at the same time, I can't deny the fact that he carried the team to that point. You look at LeBron and what he had with the Cavs team, he had nothing. He was the sole reason that the Cavs made it to the NBA Finals. And for me, when you think about an MVP, that's a person that you absolutely cannot win a game without. The Cavs could not do it.
Finally, Richard Hendrix gets an SEC guy. He has Anthony Davis from the New Orleans Pelicans.
I think Anthony Davis is in the running for the MVP for the fact of the matter that you mentioned that the other players didn't have help, but I would say James Harden had Chris Paul on his team, who was a perennial all-star, considered to be one of the best point guards in the NBA. Kevin Love is playing alongside LeBron James, leading the league in double-doubles in years past, has been one of the best rebounders that the games have seen in recent years. And we have Anthony Davis here. When February comes, DeMarcus Cousins goes down with the injury, and he steps up in February and is actually, I believe, the MVP from that point on, lifting his average to over 33 points a game, 13 rebounds, takes the team on a 10-game win streak, leads them to the playoff to the sixth seed, and actually sweeps the Portland Trail Blazers, if I'm not mistaken, on the road when they were the lower seed and did not have the home court advantage. I mean, so when you take all of these aspects into question here, with Anthony Davis not having his running mate and DeMarcus Cousins on the court with him, I think he makes a strong case as MVP.
But you would put him over LeBron, is what you're telling me.
I think we're going off MVP of the regular season here. So I'm not saying I think that he's a better player than LeBron James, but when you judge season by season, he made a strong case that he should be the MVP, and I don't see why not.
But even over James Harden. I'm just going to say, Michael Jordan, James Harden, I mean.
Well, Michael Jordan's not playing this year.
No, he's not.
He's not in the conversation. But, if I had to take Anthony Davis for the discussion, I'm definitely taking him because I think his resume shows what he did this past season. So why not?
Fair enough.
All right, 3 very good arguments for James Harden, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis for this year's NBA regular season MVP. We'll find out who takes home that title in about a week or so. All right, let's switch things up for the World Cup. Mexico taking on Germany in a big battle. 35th minute now, Mexico on the counterattack. Irving Lozano will make a move, and next thing you know, he gets in the box and puts it past Manuel Neuer for the score, putting Mexico up 1-0. Now, Germany, they did have their chances, though. Toni Kroos will have a chance on the free kick, but it'll hit the crossbar, followed by a tip by Guillermo Arco, and there is no dice for Germany on that one. And Mexico holds off Germany in a historic 1-0 victory. Call that one of the bigger upsets in the early part of the World Cup. When we return, we have a very special edition for Best of the Week. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And now back to the action on WZDX Sports Extra.
Welcome back. It's time for the Best of the Week, one of my favorite segments. This week we were switching things up a bit. It's Father's Day, and I think it's only right for us to at least pay a little tribute to our fathers who always give us their best. Is that okay with you guys?
Absolutely. We showed love to our moms last month, so let's do it for the dads this month.
Exactly, have to. All right, I'm actually going to start first, if that's okay. I'm not going to get teary-eyed right now. I had enough of that earlier after seeing what my dad posted on Facebook. But anyways, happy Father's Day to the best dad in the world. There is Andrew Chambers III. Guys, let let me tell you, he is the man. He's always providing and protecting me and my family. He always puts us first and himself last, which I think is true selflessness. I literally could not dream up of a better dad. So happy Father's Day, Daddy. I love you.
Aw. Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce y'all to the man who brings the party with him everywhere he goes. The man, the myth, the mustache legend, Steve Carlisle. Guys, this man does everything and anything in his power to make sure my family has whatever we need. And it's hard to describe him and how awesome he is in just 30 seconds. So I'm just going to leave you with this, Dad. I love you. And I hope you're enjoying those steaks that you teased me with before the show. Just wait for a second. You're going to see them. There they are. Yeah.
Looks yummy.
Right?
Yes.
And Father's Day is always special to me because of this guy, Morrell Carter Sr., a.k.a. the real Mo Carter. I learned a lot about everything from this guy, hardworking young man who grew up down Belrose Lane in Louisiana, introduced me to sports at an early age, and it stuck. He also played a major role in my life and also was a cool mentor to a bunch of my friends. He was raised by this guy, my grandfather, Lloyd Carter Sr., my only living grandparent. And before I go, let me say happy Father's Day to my father-in-law, Douglas Adams, as well. And ladies, I can always tell you this, and I tell people all the time, if I could ever be half the man my dad is, I'm gonna be A-OK in life. Because I mean, he's just done so much, not just for the family, for the community, but also just for people just in general. He can strike up a random conversation with people, all of a sudden be like, who is that guy? I don't know who he was, but at the end of the day, he is a great guy. And they're like, oh yeah, that's real Mo Carter.
I think that's how all dads are, because my dad's the same way. He could run into anybody anywhere in the entire world and he'll know who they are, where he met them. And I'm like, Dad, I don't even remember people like I met last week sometimes.
Exactly. I feel like for us women, I know with my dad, I look like when I'm thinking about a future husband, future father for my kids, I want him to be like my dad.
Of course. Absolutely.
All right, time's running up here on WZDX Sports XTRA with Charity Chambers and Kayla Carlisle. I'm Mo Carter. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Father's Day. And look, we will see you guys next week here on The X.
The X.
Thanks for watching WZDX Sports Extra. Furniture provided by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.